Khamra Choppe was everyone's car, especially the young ones, hyping it up in the car, being proud about it. And Barwar, the way that George Khoshaba had produced Barwar. Till today, I have girls since they were 14 listening to it till today.
Hi friends, and welcome to the Assyrian podcast. It is so good to be here with you. I am thrilled about today's episode. I was able to spend time with the Queen of Assyria, Linda George. And of course, as an Assyrian, we've all heard that name. We know Linda. We've seen her at the weddings, at the conventions, at the parties, and she's consistently released new albums. And in this episode, I was able to dive deep and get to know Linda on a different level. Get to know how she got to where she's at, what her daily life is like, and what other thoughts she might have for Assyrians. I'm hoping that Linda will be a regular, and I'm also so thankful that Linda let us use her music on the podcast intro. Here's what I know. She loves being an Assyrian. She's proud of who she is. She's worked incredibly hard, and people like Linda are the kinds of people that we ought to be celebrating, and I think you're going to catch a feel for that as you listen to this interview. So enjoy. But first, if you know anybody that you want to be on the Assyrian podcast, please reach out to me. The email is assyrianpodcast@gmail.com. Shoot me an email and we can schedule a way for them to be interviewed. Maybe you'll be the one interviewing them, or maybe you should be on the Assyrian podcast. I'd love to hear from you. Please subscribe and review on iTunes or wherever you are listening to this podcast. I'd love your feedback. Thanks for telling the world. And now, enjoy this interview with the amazing Linda George. I want to start with your story. And my understanding, if my research is correct, you got your big break when you were 5 years old.
Yeah, I mean, it happened. It was on a Christmas special program on a national Iraqi television. And I started singing Baghraq Wadmach, which is one of the finest, most precious hymns written hundreds of years ago. And I started chanting it in church, and they said, we found a soloist. And then that was my big break.
And you were 5 years old?
5, yeah. I have pictures of it.
Who heard you?
I was in church. It was St. Mary. And I, of course, my mom, I was an advanced student. Even at the age of 5, I came after 10, 11 years of my siblings were born. So I was so bored at home, and my mom would just next door neighbor, she's like, oh, she's so, bored at home, and the kids, my children are older. She wants to go to school. And I was a bit taller than my sisters, for my age. So they put me in school, first grade, at the age of 5. And she said, you know what, I'm going to give it a shot even for summer school. I'll put her in church school. And I started reading. It was phenomenal. I was a smart kid. And then started singing. By Christmas, I was ready to do the Christmas show.
Wasn't there like a priest who...
Yes, of course. God rest his soul. Kashayonan, ala manachle. So I was very blessed. And of course, there's Kasha Osi. He was a deacon at that time. And then, of course, all of the deacons in Mat Mariam and the new Baghdad, I would call it, an area. And I was very blessed, actually. It's a gift given from above.
So you're in the church, 5 years old, they hear you, and then next thing you know, it's being played in Baghdad, right?
Yes, Christmas, that winter, yes, I was front, and I was the youngest out of all my choirs, and you can see the picture there. Even my mom put me little high heels and a little poof on my hair just to look a little bit bigger than 5. But I was very confident. And even Shamim Rassam, she was the Oprah Winfrey back in the days. She came up to me and she said, are you scared? I looked up to her and she was so tall. I'm like, no, I sing for thousands of people in church.
Oh, wow.
So I was very confident. And she said, do you like, and these are 3 questions she asked me and I still remember them. She said, do you like the microphone to be, hung on around your neck area, or you want to, it's up to you, your call. Third, she said, third question was like, do you want water? I said, no, we don't drink water before the Mass, so I'm used to it.
Oh my goodness. So you got your training in the church.
Absolutely. Disciplines is in my core.
And that's happened for a lot of singers in terms of the church being the place where they got their first shot, or they were able to practice.
Absolutely.
And, yeah.
Absolutely.
The choir.
The choir, all these mega stars, and from Whitney, Mariah, and many others. But in the end of the day, after 30 some years, I look back, I still appreciate Jesus more than anything in my life. So I never drifted away from it. I mean, we all we're not flawless.
Yeah.
But Jesus is my core and my rock.
Yeah. And one of the things I've seen, at least, and we'll get to this, but I do sense you're always questioning, and you're pushing to experience. And we'll get to that in terms of the record. But take us to 1979. Linda George is 14 years old. She's at a New Year's party, if I got this story correct.
Sure.
And they say, Linda, we need to hear you sing.
Yeah, it was my uncle, Isaac Toma, the president of Assyrian National Foundation of Chicago. Mm-hmm. So I was wearing my dress of a 14-year-old, nothing fancy.
So wait, you're in ninth grade? So you were new to the country.
Yes, of course, same year. So it was funny that I got up with such confidence. And here is Sargon Gabriel, the Imperator, in his Zimra Turaya. And here I am. I got up in Heartbeat Band, the most prime bands of all times. Mm-hmm. And Asher Baba, the biggest producers. One of the biggest producers in the history. Did you know
these people were in the room?
No, I did not. No, okay. I just got up with 1,000, 1,500 people, big room of 1,500 people attending for a New Year's party. And then my mom, of course, gave me the green light because it was my uncle involved and he was a father figure. So I got up and wearing a dress, like I said. I still have pictures. I was like, oh my God,
Yeah.
But then I did not look like an artist. And I got up and what would I sing? And I'm like, okay, well, I wanted to sing Lepan Shapira, one of those folkloric songs that belongs to Sargon Gabriel. So I looked at Asher Baba. I said, okay, well, I need to sing it in, I don't know, the scales. I was not aware of scales. And he's like, okay. And I said, I want to do mawal. Mawal is like that awaz, they call it in Persian, like that. The beginning of the song, like the Al-Qush and Barwar with that lengthy kind of, it's a cappella.
Oh, I see what you mean. Yes.
It's a cappella.
Yeah.
And Asher Baba looked at me like, then he told me that after so many years, it's like, yeah, okay, sure. So I started singing, and then everybody was like in awe. Okay, this girl, okay, wow. She's came from Iraq and Baghdad, and I guess that was it. And then afterwards, Sargon Gabriel started following me and talking to my uncle. My parents were so against it.
So when he heard that voice, people knew. People in that room said, there's something going on here.
Yes. Like, they didn't even have to look at me, whether I was a pretty girl or not. It was the voice. Mm-hmm. Zamara, it has to have a voice. That range, that power, it's a presence that you have to have with your voice and your vocal cords. So, I had it when I was at the age of 5, and the age of 14, being up on stage and all that, I was very blessed. Mm-hmm. And then I just looked and everybody was having fun and they had the biggest smile at the beginning, and people are like in awe. They're like, okay. But then afterwards they're like, oh my God, yeah. They start enjoying it, and it was a dance song. And that was it, I guess, for me.
I love that story. It speaks volumes of what's capable within our Assyrian community too. Because, so many of us go to these events and we forget there's amazing things happening here. And on any of those events, for someone to honor you as a 14-year-old and to put you in that position.
Absolutely.
And now here we are, 30 years later, able to talk about your career, able to talk about what you've done is super exciting. And then when you were 16, Sargon Gabriel was like, let's do a duet.
Well, the age of 15, we started recording Dalale. And the Dalale story, I want to tell everyone and inform all of these people, because we did not have social media to inform them who wrote it and who composed the melody. Yeah. So my mom was not too keen with me for me being a singer, because she wanted me to be a doctor, and my dad was so against it. But I would perform here and there for the Assyrian students in high school parties, and I was like, oh, can I sing for at least half hour? And then my mom was like, yeah, it's fine, they're the kids in
so your mom's like the classic Assyrian mother who
yes, of course,
you need to go to school. And yeah,
absolutely, especially when I'm an advanced student and I'm so smart about it. So here's the thing. Like she said, okay, you can sing a duet song, not a love song. Of course, I'm young. I mean, you're looking at someone who's in his prime. Sargon was Gabriel was like a superstar, still is, of course. But the days are like, wow, you know, I was in awe when he liked me and he smiled at me. But so my mom said, I choose a song for you. You can do a duet with him, and the song was based on a true story or a myth. I'm not really certain, but it's almost a true story. And I loved it. I said, this is great. This is going to be something that people will remember. And Chaldeans do love the song. They love the story. Zachonai, of course, and Zacho. Syrianai love it. So everyone, they think that they're entitled to the story and they belong to it. But however, my mom and I had a major disagreement and we had a dispute about it. And she said, this is the hawas, this is the, you know, the music to it. And I was like, I don't like it. She's like, well, you cannot change it. I was like, no, I can change it. She said, no, you really can't. I'm like, I can change it. I'm not changing the lyrics. We will modify them from that Tura accent.
Okay, for those of us that might not know, what does it mean? And then what's the story that's connected to it? If you can sum that up.
It's hard to sum it up, but
good,
it's a story about Chimiano, the father-in-law, saw a vision. They had an issue not being able to build the bridge. It would always fall apart. And then Chimiano saw a vision. Apparently, I believe from what my mom told me, God rest her soul, that he saw a vision of Malacha. An angel told him that he has to put a nishma, which is almost like a spirit, in the little... it's a room where they're going to be able to build the bridge. Then the bridge will maintain because they needed the bridge. Zacho, it was a big, it's a river. It's almost semi-river from Teklat. So they needed for them to be able to move from the side A to side B. They were planning for the dog to go and be captured in that room. Unfortunately, the dog saw a bird, and then he just smelled it, a shladda, and then he went and just got distracted and escaped, and then Dalala was captured. And they say, I mean, it's a myth, it's a story.
Okay.
So
it's about a person then.
It's a Dalala ila kelted Chimyan, and it's a conversation. It's a song is based on a conversation between Chimyana, the father-in-law, and Dalala herself. Beautiful lyrics, if people would understand it. But however, somewhat, I don't know what you can feel, but we kind of modify it for everyone to relate to it. However, my mom was against for me to change the music to it, but I did. I composed a new melody and it became the biggest hit, that to the point it went so far that all buses in Lebanon, when Assyrians would be migrating to Lebanon, they would play Dalala even Mushilmanat Lebanon.
Oh my gosh.
So it was amazing. And then after 30 some years, we're still now producing it in Sargon Gabriel's album with a little touch of changes. I made a little bit, which I sing it on stage, but the song still is a hit. And that was it for me. Even though on that album, we've done a little duet, very soft love duet, like Sayyidat Ghazala.
Your mom loosened up a little bit.
She did, because she didn't see like she thought you're too young, you're underage, and the man is mature, which is true. Like I cannot sing something that was above my age.
Sure.
It doesn't look good. It doesn't sound right, because if you listen to me, I was a child singing. If you listen to my voice, it was not mature. Like I'm like, oh my God, I don't laugh. I sang so tuned, but I was like, I sounded like a child, and if I listen to it every day, I'm like, oh my God, yeah, I was, I mean, and I'm blessed that I've composed a melody and it went into everybody's core. Actually, it went straight to the soul, and they felt it. Everyone from every tribe, from every country, Suraya, Iket Shamyalon, they love the song till today.
And Sargon Gabriel was a mentor, has been a mentor.
I love him. I bow to him. He's my mentor. I will never forget the $50 that he gave me each gig. That would put a daily bread on and more for my mom, who became a widow shortly after I started singing. So I love him and I respect him. The whole entire family, Shamiran, they're such great people.
So who's Linda George if Sargon Gabriel doesn't?
Well, I'll be quite honest. I mean, he admits it himself. He said, I discovered her, but she had talents and she
Yeah.
worked hard on herself.
Yeah.
So I would have been discovered. I would have been the same, but I think I would have been a different singer without the dalale.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that kind of, that he was my wings and then, you know, spread them ultimate destinations. And then, but I know how I maintained my, because shortly after, about a year or so, I learned to be solo without him. And he wanted me to be that way, I'm sure.
And I think that's something that anyone who's out there, anybody who's an aspiring artist or whatever, if they can get that helping hand, it's like, you're right. You had your voice, you had your gift, your talent that God gave you, that you were born with. But, you know, having that person who just gave you a little bit of a boost.
Yeah,
and
of course.
That's awesome. Other people who for you have been huge in terms of helping you to move forward in your career and continue to grow.
I would say there are two people that helped me throughout so many decades and nonstop. I mean, back from the 80s was Ashur Baba, who's our biggest producer from the 80s, 70s actually till now. And then Shimon Kanna, the writer that wrote most of my hits till today. And then Alamanach Shamiran, God rest her soul. She was such a mother figure to me. She loved me.
You know, many Assyrians don't know about her. Sorry to interrupt, but yeah, many of Assyrians.
No, of course, because she had a very short history in the American, in America, I would say, and in the diaspora. So if people had started in Iran, it was kind of hard for us to know because we were, you know, raised in here, some of us born in here. So we only knew Shamiran for a short period of time till she had passed away. She was very, I looked up to her. She was a strong woman and she was very, she knew what she was doing, very focused. And I love that. I love people who are focused, very alert, sober. And I always say to my friends, if you don't have fun when you're sober, then don't have fun at all. And she was one of those people. Like, I loved her. And other than that, some artists didn't really help me, like some female artists, like they were not, but for me, it didn't affect me because I said, okay, you know, whether someone would support me or not support me, I had the voice, I had the talent, and all I needed is a small break or a big break from Sargon Gabriel.
Yeah.
And that's it. I worked hard, but Sargon Gabriel has been approached by many, you know, female artists or other. He said, I cannot do what I've done for Linda George. Linda George had it, and she worked. She had a voice. She had that charisma, and
that's the other thing about you, Linda, that I really want to dig into is it's apparent you love the work. It's not like you fell into this and the whole time you were thinking, oh, I really wish I just would have gone to medical school like I wanted to, or I wish I could go do. If tomorrow you realized, oh, I can't gain any sustainability or financial gain from any of this, you'd be at home in your studio figuring out how to write the next song. Tell us about that.
I see many people right now, whether they want to be singer, artist, or whatever, they want to get into this limelight. They don't do it for the passion, for what they believe or the talents they have, or they don't even have talents. They just want to be, oh, I want to be famous like Linda George. I want to be a 1K. I want to travel. This didn't happen overnight. This happened. It's just the hardest career. You know why? Because Assyrians do not have any record label. And it's difficult. Like, I mean, if you look at my career, 20th album, right? Every other 30 some years. So every other year or every 2 years, I've been producing album from my own pocket. We had some sponsorship here and there, but it's mostly me. So it's the most difficult market in the world. We are the most less paid artist and the most that we endure on stage. That we sing for hours, which is a crime against the vocal cords. Really, seriously.
Right, because our events are like 4-hour events.
Yeah, that's like 3 hours, let's say 3 hours on like I'm standing up, okay, and then our songs are not like it's not like an opera. There's a major gap of music, then you sing a part. It's opposite. It's like, you know, a little zurna comes in just to hype up the crowd, and that's it.
But then you're going back to the vocal cords and singing.
Absolutely, absolutely. No singer can sing more than the Assyrian singer. An actual, if you go to everyone, they walk in Saat Khadisar, 11 o'clock, or they walk in 12 and midnight, 1 o'clock, they're gone. And the sad part is, which I'm not, I love my fans, but most people, they always like, try to be negative about us. Why is it starting at 10? But what party would start at 8? 8 o'clock till 2 or 1:30. That's suicidal. Like, my voice is not for this party only. It's for my career.
Oh my goodness.
Do you know what I'm saying?
Yes.
So like right now, I mean, Australia, I did 25th, 26. I sang, like I was counting, like 3 hours here. And then you're on a flight at 6 a.m., no sleep. You get in Melbourne and there's sold out show again. And I'm like, oh my God. But it's...
And that's what, to me, it reveals like the value of who Linda George is and what you mean to our community. The Beatles broke up. Right? We never got to hear the Beatles after like 25 years down the line. We didn't get to hear what they would have come up with, what they would have done.
Very true.
Somehow you kept it together. Thinking back to when you're 14 and then 16 and you start with your duet and you're in these circles, and anybody who does any research on you, we see like you dabble here and you dabble there because you're trying to mix folk with pop.
It's hard.
So there's this genres that, you're finding your way through, not to mention you moved from one country to another country.
Very true. It's a culture shock, and it's difficult because listening to Whitney Houston, and I know my friends love her, and Mariah Carey, I was like, what do I have to create to keep these, the kids like in love with this Assyrian music? And my first creation, of course, I'm a composer myself, and I created a lot of beautiful numbers since the age of 14 till now. Then I thought, okay, these are classical, like Kursiyat Malkuta, Sankhiro, composed melodies, and then Nishrat Atur. I said, I got to do something. In the beginning of the 90s, I felt down, like telling myself, we got to do something because the kids are going to get distracted, and there's a lot of female vocalists out there, so we got to do something to keep them within the Assyrian market. And I did. Khamratiqa. Asha Bandeleros, one time, he said, he's an amazing producer, of course. He's my current producer right now, my right arm. And, I respect him and love him dearly. And at that time, he said, I had a friend who was Latino, and she's sitting in her car. She's like, come listen to this artist. I was thinking that she's going to bring me somebody, from the Latin world. Here you go, Khamratiqa, Linda George. He's like, I looked at it, I was like, I know this chick. Like, I know the singer. So it's an honor just to have my music so widely listened, globally listened. And it's amazing. It's a blessing.
It is. It's been a huge blessing to the Assyrian community. And I know there's been times throughout your career where you've said, we've got to go beyond the Assyrian walls. What could we do to spread our wings? Tell me a little bit about that you feel comfortable sharing in terms of how far were you able to push, and then what was the Assyrian community like?
Of course. First thing that we like Kumakhwara, I told the artist Uraham Lazar, he's one of the phenomenal writers, and I said, we got to like, I got to write them. Yeah, it's going to be a hit, and it's been a hit since early 90s. And then in Khamratiqa album, George Khoshaba, the arranger, he said, can I bring this guy? But are you going to be mad at me? He was so he was so reluctant and frightened. And here I'm looking, I was like, what do you want to do? Like, we have a lot of Barwar, and we're mixing these new sounds of technology with some songs like Zrili. And they sound folk. And these are like songs that I've created. And he's like, I'm hoping that you don't mind. We're going to bring a rapper. I'm like, oh, sure. And he was like, really? And he
did you have nervous? Sorry to interrupt, but were you nervous of like, okay, what are people going to say? Because in our community, this is something we wrestle with. We want to preserve our Assyrian identity and culture, and yet there is this fear of like, oh, we're just becoming like everyone else. And so for you as a musician, artist,
I was kind of like, as I said, I was reluctant, but then I thought, I was like, this is awesome. We're bringing Belim. We're kind of mixing Belim into like the Chobia from the 80s that Asher had produced, bringing it into the production of a younger guy, totally, 2 generations down. And then he said, are you are you excited about this? I said, actually, I'm very excited. And we created a new song from a writer that he didn't think that his song was going to be like such a hit. And everyone from Detroit, Europe, Khamratika, Choppe Choppe was all everyone's car, especially the young ones hyping it up in the car, being proud about it. And Barwar, the way that George Khoshaba had produced Barwar. Till today, I have girls since they were 14 listening to it till today.
Mm-hmm.
And it's awesome. And I feel so proud because every album I produced, it had its own identity of music, whether it was authentic, whether it was folk, whether it was real, whether
There's
live.
a voice there.
Absolutely. There is a voice, and there's also, I would say, a face to each and every album. It has something to do with me,
Mm-hmm.
and I love that. Like it's a different, it's like United States of America. It has different stamps. Stamps are different every year, every month. So I believe all my albums are like my children. This is my 20th child, and I love it.
That's amazing. that in and of itself, the 20 albums. And tell us about, kind of related to all of your albums and all the work that you've done, tell us about preserving our Assyrian ethnicity and identity, and the role your music has played, or at least the role you've seen your music play in terms of creating this music.
Since I came here, I never liked to live here. I wanted to be part of Atra, Bitmahan. Like as a child, I don't know why. And when I went back the first time, the 2001, I came and we had an open rally. I said, we are like the oil and water that we never mix here. And when you go back, you feel the magnetism. And I felt it first time going back to Athra 2001. But since I've started producing songs, since my first album, Sankhiru, I always mention, and even love songs, Shemit Melke, the king's, the great king's names. And then I wrote songs like Kursiyat Malkuta. And people didn't know till Meso Night, 2009, when they were reading the information and they're like, wow, she wrote Kursiyat Malkuta. How old were you? I was like, 16. And then Nishrat Atur. I wrote it when I was 14. And of course, I produced them like 2 years later. And then here's Parkhanita. Parkhanita is a song about me. It's about me. I'm flying. No one can catch me. And they call me the runaway bride, whatever they want to call me, which I am so proud and honored. I'm a diva that skipped probably 2-3 divorces. I'm blessed. And then, but it's my life. Because
You're blessed because you avoided all of that.
Of course. And then I'm pro-marriage, don't get me wrong, because I don't like to be, people look at me like girls, I want them to get married and have children. It's amazing. It's a blessing. But for me, Parkhanita, the butterfly, it's a symbolic way of my life. And then I'm flying, but she's saying Gentat Aden, the Garden of Eden, and Diqlat. So it's always write things that they're so relevant to Atra. And in the end, she's finding her Prince Charming in Atra. Like in the end, she knows she's going to find him in there. He's not here. He's not there. But the third verse, it's all about uniting herself with the one that she really loves. And then there is Talubani Pal, the song I wrote, I composed totally. It's about the names of kings. And then, she's Nino, so Ubani Pal, Sargon, Ashur. They're all being mentioned, and it's a love song. So I don't see myself writing something most of the times that it has, it doesn't show how patriotic I am. I love my nation. I'm not a politician. I am nationalistic, and I'm humanitarian.
And we see that when we follow your story and follow your social media. Even I'm seeing you're consistently promoting things to help the nation and help those who are struggling within the Assyrian ethnicity. So you mentioned this marriage thing and relationships and your love songs, and you're not married. And that's one of those things when in our culture, of course, we're very tribal, and for good reasons. Marriage is sort of one of the litmus tests, one of the things you have to check off your list, and kids and all that kind of stuff. So if there's an Assyrian woman out there who maybe hasn't met the right person, maybe who's listening to your love songs and and it's guiding, how have you been able to kind of maneuver through that and continue to produce the amazing work that you've produced and kind of be at one with yourself?
Well, nowadays, a Syrian woman has changed from the time of my mom and my grandparents and all that. So my grandmother, but I respect our career woman, but I always say an Assyrian woman is not Assyrian unless she's really domestic. And my mom always gave us that advice. Shmat Abitun, beautiful, famous, educated, degrees, but you have to be a woman at home, a wife, a mother. So no matter how successful a woman can be, she still has to think about marriage, children, and I admire and I envy people who have that life. A lot of people envy me, and a lot of women come up to me, which I do not like, say, don't ever get married. Don't ever look at them. I'm like, I wouldn't say that. I cannot be like saying, why are you saying that to me? Because I don't know what they have, struggled with, and I don't know their life story.
The grass is always greener.
Absolutely. And I just, they don't know what I've gone through, what I've suffered, what I struggled, what I still go through. And it's the hardest position that a woman can have, I think, in the whole entire world. I don't think anybody has been fearless as strong as me, because no record label, no bodyguards where I've walked on. I'm very fearless, and I'm strong. And that's the only thing I want in a Syrian woman to look up to me. Being strong, being dominant, being focused, being precise, loving myself, to be able to love others, and to be content for whatever God gives me.
With that being said, your latest album, which, help me with the translation here, it's Lelach Tita.
Lelach Tita.
Right?
It's not a sin.
It's not a sin. Okay, good. That was what I was going to make sure that I'm correct.
Yeah.
So when I first heard it, I thought of the Pet Shop Boys song, It's a Sin.
Yeah.
The Pet Shop Boys song, it's a response to the world that everything is a sin. And so they're kind of making this is a sin and that's a sin, and everything my whole life has been a sin. It's sort of in some ways sarcastic, I think, is probably not using the right word there. But I feel like yours
controversy, I would say. Yeah, most likely. But their song is about controversy. Yeah, my song is about, I see so many mistakes in marriages because I travel the world. I have musicians, I have sponsors, I have, you name it. I see so many sins, true sins.
Yeah.
So when they talk about you and I being single, and you're in a relationship with an Assyrian woman or someone you love, or I'm dating a guy, and they try to nail us, and that's when I say it's not a sin. Look at you being a mother, look at you being a husband, and you're not loyal, you're not being a good father, you're not being a good mother. So love, to every single person out there, say it out loud, it's not a sin. It's not a sin.
And I think in our community, there is this, you're dating that person?
Yeah.
Or no, those two, they can't love each other. And I think the LGBT community has been hit with this pretty hard. But also, just to hear you talk, one of the things is that person's marrying an outsider or non-Assyrian, and I'm going to make a big deal about that while my own marriage might be failing.
Absolutely.
So, I mean, when this latest album, are you tapping into that? Are you trying to speak to that?
Yes. I mean, I'm talking about, as long as I'm not hurting anyone and I am single, don't talk about me. It's not a sin.
Yeah.
Because God created me to be loved, and I can love back.
Yeah.
And I have a lot of friends who are, heterosexual and, bisexual. I have no problem. I mean, they do my hair, my makeup. I'm not going to be able to misjudge them. But there are people who are so straight and they are full of flaws, unfortunately. And it's like, what have you delivered as a mother? What have you delivered as a wife? What have you done? And then you as a father. And you see the cheating at all times. And I think that's when I said, I'm going to write a song about it. Not a sin.
Yeah. And as I'm listening to the album, especially that last song, what I'm hearing is Assyrians, we have to think differently. We have to go beyond our conventional, this is right, this is wrong. We have to open the door for, someone who loves someone who maybe you don't think they should, or date someone or whatever. I think within the Assyrian culture, we're shooting ourselves in the foot, for lack of better words, when we push marriage and family. And yet it also comes with, are you going to the same church? Do you believe the same exact things? What village did they come from? And what is your aunt's cousin going to say? And there are a growing number of us who are saying, maybe I don't want to be married. Or I don't want to be married until I find the person I want to be married to.
Absolutely. And then also...
Is that a sin?
No, it's not. It's not. You're so, it's fact and you're accurate. And then also, Assyrians, they coming from Middle East, they always condemn a woman. Like, let's say if I would date a guy younger than I, it's a big sin, but it's not stated in the Bible. But if a guy, he's 6 years old and he's going to the third marriage and he marries someone who is 1/3 of his age, oh no, that's okay. Right. He's a man. God didn't define men and women being so like the man has an upper hand. He said, love each other equally. And as long as someone doesn't date I don't date someone who's 21, 16 years old, for God's sake. Yeah. Someone who's mature, over 30 is fine. It's his choice. Yeah. So I don't like, and it's not only me, a lot of women, they would date younger men and they've been married to younger men. And they're like, we've been condemned. It's like, why is that? This is, Middle Eastern mentality. This is not, we've been raised in this country and we're accepting, if J-Lo can go out with someone younger, we accept that. And then if Linda George would date someone younger, oh my God, it's like, okay, I know my rules and regulations with God. And I'm not, like I said, I'm the biggest sinner on this planet. But I know what I do and I know what I've done, and God has blessed me more and more. The more people said, and the gossip, the stories that they've made and fabricated, God gave me 10 times more.
So there's a couple things there.
Of course.
One, within our culture, the way we view God is often like God is ready to strike you down if you go outside of God's will or if you make a mistake. And we don't really view God as sort of this loving parent who's watching his kids grow up and wants them to like take a risk, try something they wouldn't, and your career, you've been taking risks nonstop.
It's been, like I would say it was a little tiny, but that blossomed throughout the 3-some decades. And that shows that God was with me.
While you were taking risks.
I taken risks.
And so many people might have looked and said, why is Linda doing this? Or why is Linda doing that? Or who is she seeing? Or
yeah, and being a man is kind of like they throw less stones at you. But being a woman, like I'm telling you, this is the hardest thing. This is the hardest career anyone can face in the whole wide world. And I've done it. Like I've earned it.
It's a male-dominated culture. And you are a woman who... You've made it to the top of your field.
I sure did. Being also not only among the Assyrians, like when I made it to the Esquire magazine representing Iraq, of course, because we don't have a country. Even that, they kind of, why did you say Iraq? I didn't even choose myself, for God's sake. Yeah. I didn't call Esquire and say, can you make me the sexiest woman alive? I didn't even know about it. A friend from church texted me and I thought he was mocking. And my niece opened the text and was like, can you check? Because he could be mocking. Like he could be joking about it. But Iraq is a country. We don't have a country. So therefore they chose me to represent Iraq. And I was among all these women, beautiful women around the world. But 95% of Assyrian nation, the Chaldeans, the Syriac, they love me. And that 5%, they cannot do damage to me. So they just better quit. It's beyond, like the love I'm getting from my fans in regards to this album. It's like emails, private letters to my management, my niece. It's like we're so overwhelmed. Yeah. I'm so thankful. So if 95% of Assyrian population is building a wall and there's 5 people, they're going to destruct it, still people do remember the wall.
Well, and I think that for you, it's especially painful for Assyrian artists because you don't have the engine, you don't have the motor, you don't have the structure pushing forward what you've really done.
Yes.
There was, moving from the old country to the United States and then doing what you've done. It's not like you signed with the record label that had all the resources.
Thank you. Yeah. They always compare us. Oh my God, look at this dreadful video clip. Who do you think? Who do we?
No, I've looked at a lot of your YouTubes, and I'm just so proud.
We create things. We produce from nothing. Like a dead wall. We're creating things. We come up with ideas. Now, if we had more money, if we had a record label, even Persians, they don't have the country for their singers to be able to produce, but they have record label. Mm-hmm. Every language, every community has a label. Mm-hmm. And versus us, we have nothing, but yet we maintained and we produced. So they should be thankful.
We are thankful. I think the great majority are. And, all these criticism, the day in, the day out, the genres changing, the technology coming, the Facebook, the social media, we're going from records to tapes to CDs to back to records again, MP3, Spotify. You're on Spotify now. Mm-hmm. So we need to, as the Assyrian nation, focus on those people who have continued to work hard throughout all that. And you're one of those people. And I wanted to end with a couple questions, light, fun questions. Who are the non-Assyrian who does Linda George listen to when she's driving down the street, or who's on your playlist?
I listen to Greek music. I really do. I love Josh Groban. Good old tracks from Whitney Houston. At times I listen to Mariah Carey. Kulthum, Gugush, Feiruz is I love vocalists. I am about a voice that has wide range, and the more a woman not screams, but she has a big wide range to, sing. Mm-hmm. I'm so intrigued by that. So and I listen to my music, of course, when I'm running my 5 miles.
And you're a runner, right? You love running?
5 miles in 60 minutes. Yeah, not bad for my age.
I'm so thankful that I've been able to have this time with you just to see you in a different light. And, again, household name. We see you at the concert singing. And, of course, that's not the time to say, oh, Linda, how are you? What's new? So thank you so much for taking the time to meet with me. And I hope we can do it again in the future and keep some of these conversations going, because I know there were so many things we just scratched the surface on.
Oh, it's amazing. It's great to be here. This is something that every young Assyrian and worldwide can listen to and enjoy, to get to know us in a different level, mm-hmm. rather than the traditional interview. Mm-hmm. And a lot of Assyrians don't speak Assyrian sometimes, unfortunately, or they are different dialect than ours.
Right.
So they need to listen to an English version of, the interview that we normally, we're always being interviewed in Assyrian. But if there's a Western, a Chaldaya from Turkey or Western from Tur Abdin, they don't understand. They have the right to know. And English is a language that everyone can listen and understand mostly. And like I said, Indians have they have a big country, big population, but they still do a lot of interviews in English because they're focused on, the fans in the diaspora. So that's what we're doing right now, Steve. And I'm very thankful, very blessed.
Thank you so much again for being here, and we'll definitely catch up with you again the next time we're in the same place. Can we close with a high five?
God willing.
Yeah.